with a love of America being taught to me, I still hated history. I still hated government. I still hated those classes were boring to me. I slept through that stuff because it was taught in a very boring way. It was memorize these dates and names and maps and regurgitate it to me on a test. That's just, I mean, I hate that kind of teaching.
How did you come to love history and patriotism? Were you just born this way? Did your parents, were they patriots? I mean, how did you get to be so passionate about this?
My dad was definitely a patriot and instilled a love of America in me for sure. My mom and dad both. My mom, man, she taught me when I was being homeschooled. She did Zig Ziglar's I Can course when I was a kid. I still remember that. I'm an American. I can because I'm an American, you know.
Oh,
and I mean,
funny.
Just cheesy stuff like that, right? Was taught to me at a young age. So both my mom and dad, patriotic. But honestly, David Barton more than anything, because I even with a love of America being taught to me, I still hated history. I still hated government. I still hated those classes were boring to me. I slept through that stuff because it was taught in a very boring way. It was memorize these dates and names and maps and regurgitate it to me on a test. That's just, I mean, I hate that kind of teaching. And so David Barton, somebody gives me this cassette tape in the olden days. Those that are old enough on here will remember these. But somebody gives me a cassette tape of David Barton. It's like he starts telling the story through the eyes of the person in history as they experienced it. So instead of, Paul Revere went to tell, Sam Adams and John Hancock to get out of Jonas Clark's house and get out of Lexington because the British were coming. It was, imagine you're riding at midnight and he makes me, I feel like I'm on the horse with Paul Revere and I'm riding at midnight. And why am I going to the pastor's house? Because the pastor was passionate about life and liberty and the Bible. And he had been the leader in that community. And and the next morning he's out there with them when they're marching. And, he made it fun and he brought it to life. And for the first time, I fell in love with history. And then as a law student, reading all the opinions of the judges, I realized that the way that judge perceives history is determining his decision today and therefore impacting our laws for tomorrow. And then lastly, the Bible itself says, remember the former days. And I didn't get that until I was, my late 20s, maybe early 30s. Wait a minute, I'm commanded biblically to know history, to remember the former days and to recount it for my children and for their children and our children's children, right? So that's part of the biblical command. Psalm 78 is all about teaching the kids so that they will be warriors for the faith and that they will stand up for truth and that they won't, be unwilling to engage. It's a wonderful, everybody should read Psalm 78 in the mindset of, I want to raise my kids to not be the ones that let liberty die. I want to raise my kids instead to be like those who rebuilt the walls with Nehemiah.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.